Welcome back to Flashpoint. Today we are wrapping up our conversations that we've been having over the last few weeks with Charlotte City Council at-large candidates. And joining us today, a familiar face to a lot of folks, former Charlotte City Councilman who's running again, James Smuggie Mitchell. James, Smuggie, Mr. Mitchell.
Good morning.
Come on, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Oh, no, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. You know, it's kind of exciting time now. Here we are. What's the day? May 5th, and we're about 12 days away. So this is crunch time. So thank you for this opportunity to get in front of your viewers.
Absolutely. As I've been asking everybody, what would be your #1 priority if you get voted back into council?
Wow, boy, you start off with a tough one because I probably got 3 of them to go through my mind. But I think for me, the #1 probably would be see, I'm torn between affordable housing, public safety, and economic development. But I do think if we can concentrate on economic development from a standpoint of creating jobs, better paying jobs, training our citizens to get better paying jobs, then it could solve the kind of affordable housing issue. So I say my #1 will be creating better paying jobs for our citizens in our city.
All right, you are, I said, a familiar face, and you really are, in that you've been around quite some time there at the Government Center. And then last year, I want to catch people up. Last year, you stepped down because there was a conflict of interest. You were president of a construction company that did a lot of work with the city.
Yes.
You're no longer president, but I believe, and correct me if you're wrong, but I think you still own 25% of the company. State law says you can only own 10%. Yes. Clear up the confusion. What are you going to do, or what have you done to make this okay?
Well, thank you for that question. I'm so committed. I'm fortunate enough to get back on Charlotte City Council, and then to get under the state law, I would sell shares of my RJ Leaper stock so I can get below that 10%. I think it's a great opportunity for me to be able to have wealth, create wealth for me and my family. And I love RJ Leaper Company. My mentor, Ron Leaper, founded that company over 30 years ago. So I'll make sure I will comply with the state law and sell shares of my stock, 25%, so I can get below the 10% threshold that's required from the state of North Carolina.
And some skeptical people would be like, why not just go ahead and do it now while you're running, just to clear the air, make sure everybody knows it's okay?
Well, people got to trust me. You look over my years, I've always been a man of my word. And so I just think at the right time, if I'm fortunate enough to get back on city council, I think then I would do the right thing according to the state law and go ahead and sell enough to get below 10%.
One other thing, I know according to Axios, the most recent campaign finance report, you didn't have yours reported in there. I know you evidently said it was an oversight and said you'd have it in but by this past Monday. The second, have you reported your campaign finance reports? Yes,
I have. Yeah, all the amendments have been made. Yes, I have.
Go back to, you mentioned economic development, how it's a priority. It strikes me that the other big sort of issue that this next council is going to have to face is transit, because it doesn't look like this council is going to get something done.
Yes.
So how, practically speaking, do we get this behemoth of a transit plan actually into happening?
Well, and see, that's interesting because over the years, I've been fortunate enough to kind of see how citizens respond to key issues in our community. And transit is that issue that does not get enough attention. So when you talk about affordable housing, you talk about public safety, and it gets all the citizens engaged. When you talk to transit, it's one of those issues people say, it doesn't really impact me, but it does. So it's the 14th largest city in America, and we average about 110 new people, I think, a day. And so how do we move this urban city? And I do transit has to play a bigger role in our discussion. And so for me, if I'm fortunate enough to come back, the first dialogue I will have with citizens, look at our current plans, and let's get some consensus. Where should the next transit corridor be? And then how do we complete our whole transit system? Do we do it with bus, reducing the ridership? Do we do it with streetcar? Or do we take a big investment and do it with light rail? And so what I'm hearing now, there's a conversation about light rail to Ballantyne, a light rail to the airport. We tried at one time, I remember I was on council in the early 2000s, talking about light rail to Huntersville. But I think it has to be more on our citizens' mind as a priority for us to have more conversation about it. And then here's the key. regardless what strategy we come up with, we must get the General Assembly on board if we're going to have a transit sales tax, because they have to give us the authority.
And right now, it at least seems like that's not happening at this point in the game.
Yeah, there's a famous saying, DOA, and I think if we have that conversation right now, it'd be dead on arrival.
But why is that? I mean, you know, assuming there's still going to be a few of the same council members there this next session, like, why is the relationship? I mean, I think the mayor has said she's tried to sort of mend the relationship. Why is it so bad right now?
You know, so let me talk about my experience there. I think we, the city, including the mayor, did an excellent job of reaching out, trying to extend the olive branch and talk about issues that we both, our Mecklenburg delegation and the city of Charlotte council, can work on together. And so I think our problem is not our delegation, not the city council, but when you get to the General Assembly, you have other small legislators from all the small towns, and transit is not a priority for them. And so it's hard for our Mecklenburg delegation to kind of get it on the General Assembly and say, hey, can we give our cities like Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, who are growing, who need transit funding, can we at least get it on the agenda? And that's where I think the bottleneck comes. It's just when it gets to Raleigh and our Mecklenburg delegation is just running into a brick wall.
All right, the final two questions, and they have to be quick ones. Your favorite thing about Charlotte and the thing that drives you crazy about Charlotte?
The favorite thing I love about Charlotte is the people, the Southern hospitality. The thing that drives me crazy about Charlotte, that we have not won, wait a minute, I'm very concerned about our public safety.
All right, James Smuggie Mitchell. All right,
Thank
Smuggie,
you for
thanks
this
for coming on. We
opportunity.
appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
By the way, we did reach out to Patrick Cannon, who's also a city council at-large candidate, as you probably know, but we did not hear back. However, WCNC Charlotte interviewed him after it announced he was running. You can find that interview and all the other ones we've done on the WCNC Charlotte YouTube page.